Welcome back to the eCom Growth Show. I am your host, Danon Coleman. Today with me, I have George Reed from GB Media. George, you and I have been talking for quite some time now, and I dare say that we've become friends to a degree. I don't know, maybe you'll say like, no, not really, Danon, but that's fine. Tell us, I'd like to know, and this will be the first time I'm finding out as well, give me some background of George. Who are you? How did you end up here? What are your proficiencies? You don't have to go over anything that isn't a proficiency if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of those. I think as a starting point, yeah, we haven't actually had that discussion. We've been chatting for a while, but you know nothing about my background.
That's true.
I started this Amazon journey when I worked at Amazon in the UK. Used to be, I was that guy, old calling Amazon sellers, trying to shove some new product or Amazon's down their throat. Initially, that was FBA on day one.
Yep.
Then we moved into the seller field prime team. So it was all about punting that as a service just when it was launching, which is pretty cool. You would speak to the biggest sellers essentially because they're the big selection, trying to solve their problems.
Yep.
And then transitioned into the Amazon business team when that launched. And this was all at the same time as Pan-EU launching as well.
Okay.
As well as actually, and the other one, which makes a bit of sense, was sponsored products launching at that period.
So are we 2015, 16? Is that what we're talking about here?
Sort of, yeah, that sort of period.
Yeah.
And I remember pitching, so you had your clients anyway, which you might have signed up for Amazon Business. And your KPIs were around number of sign-ups, SKU selection. But then there would, you'd have the big meeting, we're launching sponsored products and we want to sign up as many people as possible. Can you go and pitch that? And there's new KPIs around it. I remember pitching that and honestly, I had no idea what it was. I was just telling people to sign up.
And then they were doing
money, but you'll get more money out of this. I guarantee you will. But I run an Amazon advertising agency now, and at the time I had no idea. So that's how I started that journey.
Wow.
And then we can go from there if you like. But
let's do it. Yeah, let's take us all the way up to present time here. I'm very interested to know.
I mean, I've had an interesting career and an array of different jobs, but that was kind of the first big boy job.
Okay.
And I left for, in essence, money, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I've really
all need
spoken
some
about
of
this
that.
before. Yeah, I mean, Amazon was very good. You were surrounded by some really intelligent people. I remember when I first joined being like, wow, the caliber is high. And that felt great. And that wears out after a while when, despite being in a sales sort of role, it did work different to other sales roles that are out there. You're not compensated based on your performance necessarily. Not 100% anyway. Like you are, end of year reviews, you might get some extra shares, but not in the same degree. That always used to irk me and a collection of other people, to be honest, who were performing above average, let's just say, and the compensation wasn't there. And I was quickly able to find when you poke your head up, when you leave Amazon and you have Amazon on your CV, you can get some good money elsewhere. So I obviously went to a rocket internet startup. And in the first month, I thought it was fantastic because the pay jumped immediately. I got a big fat bonus because the sales process was non-existent and you had some Amazon experience. It was a little bit easier. And everything was fantastic for maybe 4 months. And then it quickly realized that you were at this startup. You weren't with brilliant people anymore. Some of the quality of the people around you weren't great. And that became kind of shit, to be honest.
Right.
But at the same time, I was launching kind of some consulting on the Amazon stuff. I thought, I've consulted people for free whilst working at Amazon for a long time. I must be able to get paid for this. Like I've got a lot of insider knowledge and I got to be able to get paid for this. So I took on a bathroom client and we got 10% of sales, like actual revenue.
Wow.
And all the products had been on there already, but they weren't selling it. So they started selling it and you were just scooping up 10% of revenue for managing the whole thing.
My gosh, that's amazing.
Which was bonkers, yeah. And we took them all over Europe and I was doing this on the side. And this company I was working at was kind of slowly getting wind of it. And because I was being quite blatant, I was hating my job. It was wild. I kind of put a few processes in place to ensure I always hit targets, but maybe I didn't need to do 8 hours a day, and I became, dare I say, a bit of an arsehole. I was working on the Amazon stuff at the same time as doing my day job, and eventually I got binned from there, rightly so, which was so fair.
For those of us in America, binned means he got trashed, which means he got fired. He got thrown in the trash.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and there was a few other things going on. Like at the time, my missus had moved from Amazon UK to Amazon Australia. I was still in London, so it wasn't a great time. But I had this thing on the side, a little bit of money coming in, and I immediately it was, you can leave today if you want, and I was like, fine, yeah, no worries, and was on a flight to Australia within a few days.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, this is perfect, and yeah, I had a good month there, and I was like, right, I'm going to move to Australia now. I'll go back home, live with mom and dad for a bit, set up this agency, and then move to Australia in kind of 4 or 5 months. So I'm not milking the missus for funds entirely. I've got to be able to stand on my own 2 feet.
Sure. Sure.
And that's kind of how the agency started.
And when was that? When are we talking about here? Okay, so you have extensive experience, not only from Amazon, but also delivering services to brands.
Yes, I mean, an array of different services, because when I started, it was full service.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went down I got into kind of business with the brother a little bit, because he was quite good at building kind of some teams offshore. Mm-hmm. And I'd always loved that 4-hour work week idea of building an offshore team, and I could see the value in it, because Amazon, when I was there, they'd hired their whole team in India, so I knew the quality of the talent, and we started doing a bit of full service. But then what we noticed was we were saying the same thing again and again. Oh, do this, do this, do this. Some stuff I'd learned at Amazon. We started recording some material, and naturally then fell into the course/academy role of, if we're going to say it once, we may as well just record it and put it down.
Yeah.
And we were pretty brutal. The brother was quite good at Facebook ads, and we would then do the webinars every Thursday night, and we would spend a lot of money. Like, to us, it was about £7,000 a week on Facebook ads at the time.
Whoa. Wow.
Right. And then I used to sit there.
That's when Facebook ads weren't super expensive too.
Yep, mate, exactly. And then on a Thursday night at about 8 p.m, I would sit there in Australia in my little rental apartment, and often we'd have Airbnb to help kind of pay some of the bills, right? So you'd have the guests to be like, don't come in between the hours of 7:30 and 9:30. George needs to somehow make $7,000. And I'd sit there with a couple of Stellas on the go, and I'd spend an hour and 10 minutes or something building up to kind of the big pitch at the end, where I'd try and sell people on this course/academy. And it was kind of either a massive high and you did well, or sometimes the only people who signed up happened to be your missus and your mom, who were in the chat just trying to kind of, under a fake name, going Dave, going, yeah, this is great, everyone should jump in. And I remember calling the brother sometimes being like, it's not bad, 2 people signed up, obviously a bit of a failure, we lost some money. He's like, who are those 2? I was like, Dave and, Helga, or whatever it was. I think that was mom and your missus, I was like, God, we've literally made nothing there. And then, me and the brother kind of broke up. It was difficult to run a business together. And I ended up then.
I respect that you were even able to do that. There would be absolutely no possible way for me to run a business with my brother. Like, I tried many years ago to bring him into Amazon. Like, his wife is an equestrian. She trains horses and trains people how to ride horses and stuff like that. And I was like, you have the network. You need to get into producing horse brushes,
Yeah.
And while I'm trying to pitch it, I told him I'd finance it, right? I will finance it. You guys I had the courses, I had the money, I had the product, the initial product even to do the research on. And in that conversation, we got in an argument about the money. I'm like, dude, I ended up like really, truly actually yelling at him, like really loud in front of his wife. And she's probably like, what the hell is going on?
And when do we start?
Yeah, exactly. And I never talked to him about business ever again from there.
Wow.
Yeah, because we couldn't even agree on the fact that there was an opportunity for him. That's all I was trying to pitch. Here's an opportunity. I will finance it. You do the work. Let's go. And we ended up with an argument about that. I was like, oh, it's never again.
It was hard. Like, we did it for a year and a half. We called it Launchpad Academy. And I think we probably ramped up to doing about 10K a month pounds. So it was, it was okay. And we had, up to 200 members. But we were so different in how we wanted to run it. And we were one UK, one Australia. So that was difficult. And we ended up just having these monstrous arguments.
It's not worth it.
No, exactly. So I ended up kind of buying him out. He went on to then do a bit of consulting and now runs a shampoo business with his missus that has gone on to eclipse my business entirely. So he was probably right all those years ago. And then I slowly wound up the academy because there was a shift in, I don't just want you to tell me how to do it. I just want you to do it. And I already had someone in my team this is Himanshu, who's still with me, kind of 7 years on, who managed Amazon ads at Amazon during them early days when I was pitching it.
Yeah.
He was the guy in India doing it for people. So he's 10 years experience, well, over 10 years now experience doing it. And I just started offering that as a service. And, one of I think the key differences, the value we had is the Launchpad Academy was for people just getting started. There were some big sellers in there, but mostly to just getting started. Because we were hiring out of India, and despite at the time, people had 5-6 years experience of ads there from day one, you were able to get that big saving of your salaries being less and passing it on to clients. And, we're many years on now, and that is still something we do with still the same person.
Yeah. So I was going to say, I'm pretty sure you, to this very day in your agency, you do your very best to pass the savings on to the client because you don't necessarily, if I understood our conversations correctly, you don't really agree with high prices and maybe still you don't get the best product. Like you want high quality and fair prices. Does that sound about right?
I think, just one of my issues is that the US salaries are, and rightly so, people deserve to get paid really well. But the salaries for the Amazon ads roles are going up monstrously at the moment. And someone is therefore commanding, if they've got 4 years experience, over 100 grand. Okay, great. That then gets passed on to the client, which is fine, unless you can get someone with 10 years experience who is less than 100 grand. And people in the US offer so much value, definitely, because they can attend trade shows. The communication is definitely better because you understand each other on a different level. I completely get that. And that's something we won't have as an agency because we only hire in India. But what you are getting is just more experience at a better price. And I don't know, I don't mind people charging a lot, but I've heard some horrible examples of overcharging and the margin's just too big. And I'm just not sure if that aligns with what I feel is fair. Charge some good money. We charge fine fees and I make some margin. My team get paid really well, really, really well. And the client gets a really good fee and a really good service. And I just kind of think in that situation, everyone wins.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I agree with you on that. I'm with you. That's how I have positioned my agency as well. For Catalog Defender, it's the best price on the market and it monitors more than everyone else out there.
Someone told me that the other day about your thing. They're like, he's just so much cheaper. He's
really?
Like that. Yeah.
Well, who was that?
A guy called Simon.
Oh, yes.
And he was like, Danon is really well priced.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he's competitive because I think it's just fair pricing is another way to look at it.
Yeah.
I like the Amazon AWS model, like the model of usage-based billing. I've always loved anyway.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think of how to get that into my Amazon design kit, usage-based because it's fair. If you don't use the service, why should you pay? And no one's really against that because it's not in favor of the company.
Yeah.
It is in favor of the client. And AWS has built a very good business with the Amazon principle of being customer-centric.
Yeah.
No agency is really customer-centric.
Yes, that's true. And both services that I offer are actually built that way, right? So the negative review removal is pay for performance, and the catalog monitoring, the catalog defender, that's not pay for performance, but you only pay for what you check, what you're monitoring, right? So it's not a flat fee if you have this many ASINs to this many. It's all the way down to the ASIN level. Am I monitoring 150 or am I monitoring 151?
I think that's fair as well. Why have these big buckets of
Not
50 at a
necessary.
time? You're like, well, I only need one more to be managed. Why are you going
Right.
to charge me loads more?
Right. And the other thing that I do is, if you want to monitor an ASIN, why there are different degrees of importance on ASINs, right? You've got your hero, you've got your performer, your top performers, so your hero ASINs, you've got your performers, and then you've got your stuff that just, you make a little bit of money every month and they're just worth keeping around, right? In cases like that, maybe on your hero ASIN, you want to check it 5 times a day. But on the ones that are only selling 10 a month, you only need to check that once a week. Why is that not available? So I made that available.
That's really cool, actually, because it's just based on the API call, right?
Yeah. So yes, exactly. I mean, it's a little bit more than an API call in our case, but yes, it is. It is just you are paying for how often we have to spend our tokens to acquire data, right? Through whether that's ChatGPT or it doesn't really matter. Helium 10, it doesn't matter, right? We're just passing that on to you, passing the cost on to the customer with enough profit to make it a damn good price. So I support that, man. And I was just thinking about that when you were saying that you could do a token-based system probably, but
for the advertising management or for design or for the
design kit. For the design kit, maybe.
I've been thinking about that recently, that the number of items that you save from Amazon, because you're looking to save designs and ideas as you move. If you don't save anything that month, then why should I charge you? Is my sort of logic, because you've got like your initial access, sure. But you don't save anything, then don't charge them. And that just seems fair. The same with the Figma templates, the Canva templates. Why not just charge every time you use one? You make a new design, bang, you press the button and you get charged, but maybe it's capped. So you actually can't go over a certain amount per month. Always cheap. Like at the moment, it's cheap as hell at £9 a month, $10.
Yeah,
everything.
It's nothing. Yeah. So actually, that segues us into what are you doing? What is it that you've got? And let me preface this with, to me, it's the Pinterest of Amazon design. Only it's actionable.
I like the phrase. Yeah, I do like the phrase, the Pinterest of Amazon design. I think this is all kind of born out of my main business is running an Amazon advertising agency, offering advertising and design. But my problem is I get somewhat bored and I like playing and building stuff. So, I built George's blog, which is, a news feed of all the posts that I was saving from Twitter and LinkedIn. I just saved them on the go every day. So now you've just got a feed without any ads, etc., and all the junk and rubbish that people post on these platforms.
Yes.
Because I needed that. And that became the email. And then the design kit came from people kept asking me, have you got any good examples of that? A+ storefront, infographic, video ad, post, hero image, brand story. And I was like, okay, let me just work on this for a bit. Let me save some in a folder. I've saved some for you. Oh, I'm in the apparel category. Have you got any for me? Yeah, sure. I've got folder number 2 now. And I've got 2 folders.
Yeah.
Now I've got 12 folders for each of the categories. All right. Yeah, cool. Is there any way kind of, I want to see just A+ for the apparel, and then I want to see just A+ for consumables or
Who
from
are these
electronics.
Customers of yours that are asking you to program them? No, go ahead.
This is just what people was kind of saying. Like it was a bit of a Facebook group, and I was like, I get it. Like the folder system doesn't work anymore. So I was like, okay, I can build a bit of a gallery. So I made this free gallery and I started uploading kind of a few thousand images. And then I built a bit of a tool to I was like working on the logic of, I'll download the top 1,000 bestsellers from each category, and then I'll remove the junk, basically. So I'll download all the way plus, I'll download all the infographics, the brand stories, the storefronts. What I found was like 95% went in the bin, like so much was rubbish.
Really?
Which kind of told me that design wasn't really that important. Your offer was to become a top seller, which is interesting.
Well, okay, so hold on a second. I just released a podcast from a design studio who would argue that fact. So are you saying that design is not important and the offer is what is important?
I would say the offer trumps the design because there's some absolutely shit listings, but the offer's so good, it doesn't matter.
Yes, I agree. So I suppose we are speaking in the confines of Amazon. So if you...
It applies off Amazon, I would say.
You'd say so? You can have an absolute garbage website with just a phenomenal offer.
The offer's so good, like if the person wants that product so much and the price matches their demand, the sale, they will find a way to buy. There's been countless examples of awful websites, but people resonate so much with the idea of the product and the offer and the price. It doesn't matter. There's so many examples of that. Flip it around. If you go, I've got the most beautiful website ever for my Amazon page, but I'm 10 times more expensive and I'm not offering anything more. You're not going to buy. Like I've seen the mugs as an example. I know someone who became the top seller in the mug category during December, and he literally it was quite literally used on paint to kind of do a little arrow with his thing to go, this is what it does. It was awful. No bullet points. Top seller, did like 500,000 in December.
Unbelievable.
And there's more examples of that when people resonate so much with the idea and the price is right, obviously, because if the price is sky high, the offer is no longer good. So despite running a design agency and finding good examples, the offer always wins.
Interesting. Okay. Well, let's talk about that. I've got a couple of questions for you. So what is a design system and why or how can we as Amazon sellers use it for Amazon? But let's start off with, what is a design system?
So I think if we go backwards a step with Amazon, what we've initially done is we had infographics to begin with, and we did infographics because people were processing images faster than text. So the text on the image means we get processed faster and we can convey the benefits, the offer, and therefore the conversion rate can go up. Brilliant. Now, if you want to then create 10 of those infographics for your 10 products, so the workload doesn't necessarily go up by a magnitude of 10, it might go up by 5 because you're duplicating it. Remember, we want consistency because if we're a brand and we're selling, let's say, supplements, you want all of it to look and feel the same across everything.
Yes.
So it's just consistency and high quality because you've tested something and then you want to then apply that test across everything you do. What's happened with websites for years is they've built design systems in Figma. A design system is in essence a series of design decisions you've made once. So you've made the decision on what your font is going to be for your heading.
Okay. Yes.
You've made your decision about what your paragraph text is going to be, your buttons are going to be. You make that decision once. You don't make it again and again. That decision is being backed by data. Go on,
you're talking about brand guidelines, essentially, yes?
In that case, yes, brand guidelines.
Yeah.
But then it can roll out further than that. So when the brand guidelines come together and you go, well, I've got an infographic and it's got 3 little blobs that tells me 3 little things, features or benefits, I should say, of this supplement. Brilliant. We decided 3 is always good. The spacing's nice. We've tested it loads with Pickfood, Product Opinion, Amazon experiments. We want to roll that across everything. So we create those 3 little bubbles and we give them a name, like bubble 3 or something. And then we roll that across all of our designs super quickly because just like when you build a website, it's got a wireframe and there's so many, like the same button is used over and over again across your whole site. If you wanted to change that button color for a website, they've got a system in place. So you don't need to go to every single design and change it.
Sure.
You change it in
That's
one place.
CSS, yeah.
Of course, yeah, exactly. So like the whole thing's built in Figma. You change the color scheme in one, it updates everywhere.
I got it.
Now that can apply to your whole Amazon design framework. Like every infographic can all be tied back to a master set of infographics. So go on.
Okay, so I have no experience with Figma, right? But it's starting to sound like the WordPress of design. Is that a correct analogy? Like
WordPress is quite old school now, but yeah. I mean,
hey, all my websites are in WordPress.
Interesting. Someone's a little bit behind. I remember my first blog, mate. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Oh,
I
man.
guess
Thanks, George.
that's one way of looking at it, yeah. But the other is just look at where all of the best designers who've been making websites. Websites are so much more complicated than an Amazon page, but an Amazon page is still a website for your brand,
yes,
storefronts,
absolutely,
etc. But look at what they've been doing for years. No one on Amazon is learning from that right now. No designers are learning from it. Even the biggest agencies are not building out these systems. What they're doing is doing something again and again and again manually. And that is creating an enormous amount of wasted time.
Yes.
Because they're making the decision, then they're actioning it over and over again. The issue therefore is, one of our clients is in the bed linen space, and if they want to, recently they did a test where they wanted to change one word on all of their infographics, okay, to see which performed better. The new design performed better. Now they want to roll it across every infographic, but they've got all the sizes, all the colors, all the ranges, and all the number of pieces. So you're looking at tens of thousands of images, but you're changing one word. Doing that manually would be hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Yes.
We changed it in seconds by changing it in one place, and thousands of images were updated. We then built a
go ahead. Sorry.
plugin for Figma, which meant we could export all of those into appropriate folders with perfect naming, so we could upload them all into rapid time to Amazon. And that test we did, we could action across thousands of images in a day rather than weeks or months.
Dude, I think we need an example. I think you should do a video of this, and then I don't know. Maybe I should. Yeah.
I can't share behind the scenes of that because it's
not
all
that
theirs.
one. That's fine. I'm just saying an example video. Like you could take my knife brand, for instance, and we can just. I don't have hundreds of listings, but we could fabricate them, and then you could use my brand, absolutely. And I think that would be awesome, because this is, and just for everyone that's listening, this is the first time I'm hearing this too. So this is potentially revolutionary for people with large catalogs.
It's revolutionary, but it's also not. This has existed for some time.
Okay, revolutionary for the space.
For the space.
Yes. So, all right, another example. So many, many years ago, I had my own agency doing local business SEO, right? So it wasn't website SEO, although there was a piece of that. What I did is I got them on the first page of Google for their primary keywords that people were searching for locally, right? So baker, dentist, lawyer, whatever, right? So my job was to get them onto the first page. And what I figured out, and this is 20 years ago, right? What I figured out is that there were a network of websites that reference each other for data. And if you had an account created, and I had something like, at this time, there's probably more now. I'm sure there's more now. But I had a list of about 65 different websites that Google referenced the data on. And if all of your data matched and all your primary keywords were in there as best as possible, because not every website was the same, of course, you had I got every single one of my clients onto the first page, the first listing, at least top 3, but typically the first listing for their biggest keywords, the most competitive keywords, by using this method. So, that's something, knowing that data was something that I brought over into Amazon very early on. And at that time, it was just simple SEO. Amazon didn't have A+ content at this time. But I told people, like, you need to pretend that this is SEO for a website, right? Amazon is a search engine. You need to be naming your images. And I said this again recently on, I don't even remember where I was, but, there's metadata in images, right? There's alt tags in images for the A+ content. You need to be utilizing that, because that is an area where Amazon is referencing that data, and the better the density of, how do I put this? When someone's doing a search term, if your listing has the best density that applies to that search term, your chances of being up at the top of the pages go way up as compared to your competition. The only way they beat you is if they're running a bunch of traffic and their conversion rate's great, right?
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is that with Figma, you can essentially do something like this wherein you optimize a system. I guess that was an extraordinarily long version to get to that point. I could have just said that, but hey, we got to make up time on the podcast. It's all right.
Filler. Yeah, and I think that's why I use it like it's a design system. The design system, I haven't created that. That's not my coming up with the words or the framework or the ideas. I think I'm just the first person to be applying this to Amazon because no one else is talking about it. I spoke with Scott Needham maybe 2 months ago. He had never heard of it. No one was talking about it there. And in my mind, for context, this, the bed linen client, we churn out about 6,000 to 10,000 images a month for them.
Whoa.
In 80 hours.
Wow.
So the volume, just to give you some context, is enormous. Now, they are an anomaly. They have that many images because we're testing a lot. And we're going through the whole catalog, and the variation structure requires that. But other cases, such as supplements, can apply. You've got all of these designs you want to update or split test. The other example of this is, say you're an aggregator or even an agency, and you've got multiple brands. You can have different brand kits all built into the same system. So you can go, I'm going to build all of these designs for my client A, but actually I can quite quickly make them all match client B. I can just change with one button, pick design, brand guidelines 2. Everything can update. And then I've got all of the design work I did for client A, I can apply to client B. Or I did for brand A, I'm an aggregator, and I'm going to do for brand B. And this means that the time to create brilliant designs is going to come down massively. Proven designs is going to come down massively.
I have to assume that you have templates. Well, I don't assume. I know you have templates. And for £9 a month, so let's just, for the sake of ease, call it $10 a month, an agency can have access to this?
Yeah, there's about 300 templates in there at the moment. So the way I think about it is...
Forget about what we were talking about earlier on charging for use. $10 a month, that's nothing. Forget it.
It's kind of dirty cheap, yeah. I do need to increase it soon, to be fair.
Dude, you could charge an agency $250 a month for this.
We've got about 250. Most of the big agencies, 250 of them use it at the moment. And what we're doing is we're making these templates that we are taking designs that are working well on Amazon because they're not only top sellers, which is some of our data, we're also then split testing them as well ourselves with tools. And then we're making a template out of it in both mobile and desktop. What we're then doing, instead of making the full, let's say the full A+ page, we're creating iterations of each section. So let's say a review section. We're going to make 8 different review sections, optimized for mobile and desktop. You can then dump all of your stuff in it, your images, your reviews, your color scheme, your text, in a fraction of the time as if you had made it yourself, because we've already done 80% of the work. And then you can quickly then go test it.
Yeah.
And you can create endless variations for testing because we're building components rather than a full design. We do have the full design as well.
It's like WordPress themes. I was right the whole time.
Well, yeah, exactly. For adults, yeah.
I love this. Okay, so I mean, we basically answered. My next question was going to be, what does the output look like when the design system is in place? But you basically just explained it. And then to sum it up, it is a massive, massive, massive time saver.
Time saver, which is one output. Your team can be more productive. We chat to lots of big brands often, and they still have this same problem of, I know I started that design project 4 months ago. It's not finished because our internal design team are busy with the D2C stuff. They're doing this, they're doing that. They didn't get round to it. So the job just doesn't get done. So yes, a time saver, but in terms of the physical output, the images.
So brands need help to actually put this in place.
And this is, I'm working with Dorian at Keplo to kind of see what we can do in this space of helping brands, not by being their designers, not by being an agency for them, but by coming in, building their system, then teaching their internal team. Because then you kind of get a perfect blend, in my opinion, of, we know how to build a system, we build it for you once, we train up your team, but what your team has that we don't is they can get approvals for copy. They've got context. They've got all the image banks. They understand all the products. So that time it would take for us to learn all of that, when we'd never be as good as your internal team at understanding your products, they've already got that. Coupled with, we've built the whole system. Here are all these templates and wireframes. We've done all the testing, given you some training, and that's kind of where I'm looking to go into next.
I think that makes an awful lot of sense, because that's essentially consulting, right? You come in, you build a system for them, then you train their staff on it, and then you say, off you go, right?
I mean, you're already paying for the staff. I'm just saying your staff are now 4 times more productive.
Absolutely. Dude, this is amazing. That's it. At eCom Triage, this is precisely the sort of thing that I want to be delivering to not just agencies. Agencies is my main thing, but to brands as well, are tools that help them optimize for profit and save time. That's huge, because I think that it feels like in 2025, it feels like a lot, if not all of the agencies that I've spoken to have taken a look at 2024 and gone, okay, we're going to stop spending so much money trying things that don't work or doing things that aren't profitable. We're going to double down on the things that are very profitable, and we need to make sure that everything is super well organized. That's pretty much where I see agencies going this year. And it's true, like, it's gotten so much more expensive, not just on Amazon, but in general. For me, I don't know what it was like in the UK, but during COVID, the food in America went up like 30, 40, and sometimes even more %. Did it do that in the UK as well?
I was hiding away in Australia, mate, at that point. So we had a completely different gig, so I'm not going to show off about it, because it was a little bit easier on the beach, I must say. But the cost was still high.
Yeah, that's fine. Were you at Gold Beach? Is that where you were?
There was some golden sand beaches, and apparently going outside and there being a wind was encouraged, because that was fine. I wasn't complaining.
That's fine. I mean, I was in Florida, so our beaches were open except for like a couple of months, and all of Florida was pissed off about that when they closed our beaches here. Actually, funnily enough, we live right next to a state park, and we have like a little tiny private beach there that we take the kids to. So we never didn't go to the beach. But anyhow, the point is that it's gotten more expensive, right? And so people have to, their time has gotten more valuable. So let me rephrase that.
More costly, like all of the time costs more.
Yes. And so it needs to be more productive is what I'm getting at. So this is excellent. So let me ask you this. Let's say a brand has a team of 3 people that are managing, I don't know, 100 listings?
Yeah, okay.
Is that fair? I don't even know how many people it would take to manage 100 listings, if I'm being honest.
From a design perspective, well, there's too many caveats that aren't there.
Fair enough.
Are they shit to begin with? Have they got brand story? Have they got infographics? Like, what are you looking at here? But I think it's enabling our team with this, like, one larger client to rattle through the inventory so much faster. And then once you've got it really, like we're really dialed in now. So when we go, right, we're now turning our focus to inventory number 30, and then it's done. And then inventory 31. Our ability to finish projects for each ASIN is cut, not by half, by so much more. And it gets faster and faster the longer you work with someone.
And
Happier
so,
clients, everything.
yeah, so that brings up the question, who is this for? Who's the design kit for? And look, and just for the listeners out there, you can contact George and he can manage your ads. Like he said earlier in the podcast, his team has a decade plus of Amazon ads experience. So, and they're very fairly priced. But who is the design kit for? Who needs it?
Yeah, the design kit, I think, to be honest, I'm still identifying who is that perfect user because, you know, we've got honestly some huge brands in there from Colgate to Nestle to Earth Rated to Puma. Like some monstrous brands use the kit because they want the ideas, the examples that they can go and save from across Amazon so their design projects are more efficient. Like I said, it's a Pinterest board. As you scroll Amazon, the extension enables you to save ideas as you go and add comments, bookmark into folders, ready for your designer to pick that up. So that communication's easier.
Yeah, so I guess technically, and is this only for A+ content? I actually never asked you that.
Every videos, brand story, anything on Amazon, you can save any assets with a click, bookmark it, add a comment, and then go look at all your bookmarks and pass information on to your designer. Because you know, we're always browsing as agencies or brand owners. So the logic is just save as you go, and then you've just got a bank of ideas. You know, it literally is the Pinterest for Amazon.
Yep.
And then
yeah, go ahead. No, you go.
And then on the back of that is, well, now you want the templates to get started. And you might adjust those loads, and that's fine. But ultimately, they're a great starting point, so you don't start designing with a blank page.
Got it. Yeah. Which honestly, that's how I operate in life. Like I need something to start from. I'm not a blank paper kind of guy, you know? That's why ChatGPT has been absolutely revolutionary for me because I can tell it, hey, I need a contract on this. And then I'll get that like, oh yeah, okay. Now I see what you know, the sections that need to be in here. Then I'll go grab another contract that I've signed or that I've worked with in the past. Say, cool, now implement these sections from this over here. Boom, done. And then I optimize it to say whatever I want. And it has, if I had to write that contract, and I have written contracts from scratch, it takes me forever. And I hate it.
Starting with a blank page, like I do a lot of the design stuff for our websites. There's a few different sites that we have because I like
on
playing,
WordPress,
not on Webflow, and some are custom built, but I always go somewhere else to get ideas and inspiration and templates because I don't want to, like I tried to build a pop-up button the other day myself and I was 2 hours deep losing my mind with ChatGPT. And then I was like, why am I doing this? And then I found a little pop-up that I could not buy, that copy the template of and then drop it in, and it was done. And I was like, oh, I just needed that. And I knew I'd wasted that. I knew what I was doing when I was doing it. But once you started, you're like, I'll start so I'll finish.
Yeah,
you watched me struggle my way through this.
Yeah. Definitely. Cool, man. Well, you haven't shared your screen at all, but
sorry.
It's all right. I am debating on whether we should do that and then we should make it into like a little short. Why don't you do that? Why don't you give us a quick run through?
It's my mouse.
It's on your desk.
Good man. Okay, so let's go Chrome window. We will go, let's just go entire screen. I'm wild.
All right. Tell your wife none of those messages, honey.
Yeah, great. So the kit to begin with is just endless examples, which you can then filter by A+ Premium, for instance. And this is getting updated all the time as people are saving. Equally, you might cancel your A+ Premium. You might search dog, for instance. Now what's happening when we're saving all these designs and yourselves, it's collecting all the metadata as well. So you can search by keywords and then all the data's coming up.
See, people, that's why I say fill out your metadata in your images. Not so that George can swipe it, but so that it can be found.
so I can swipe it. And then you can go,
So,
right, I
so that
like
George can
that.
swipe it.
Drop to infographics. Now I can then add a comment. Someone saved this low resolution, or it just was a low resolution image, but you can then add your comments of why you like it. And then when you actually go onto Amazon, the difference is if you're searching dog and you browse your way over Amazon, we decide that we like some of these hero images, we can just click save, and then we can add a bookmark as well if we like. So it just means when you're scrolling your way through, you can go, I'm going to save that. Obviously.
So for those that are watching, George has got a plugin that you can download. Is the plugin free, George, or do you need to have the subscription?
The plugin is part of the kit. Yeah, the plugin is part of the kit. And what we have kind of added, but we haven't released yet, is a bulk mode as well. So you can enter a list of 1,000 URLs. That could be ASIN pages, or it could be storefronts or search results. And what it will then do is you can select whether or not you want what you want, basically, such as A+, and it will go and capture all of those A+ pages from the 1,000 from those 1,000 URLs all at once automatically.
Awesome.
So to save you, it kind of allows you to spy a little bit. And then if you come over here, we've got templates. As I mentioned, you might got A+ Premium, filtered by Figma. You do have the kind of full templates.
And these are editable.
Oh, yeah. So like say this one here, but then what I'm actually preferring, let's say, are these kind of components that I spoke about. So let's say you've got this benefit one here. Simple copy job. Open up this baby here, and let's go, where was I earlier?
So he's opening up Figma, this is a paid application, I take it?
It's free as well as paid, so optional. Okay. And then we can drop that in there. See, as you can see, I was showing another demo recently with these 3 components, and then building an A+ page very easily. If I then want to edit anything, all of this is edit me very easily and replace these images.
Here's what I'm seeing right now is that someone goes, that's amazing. Like I'm a brand owner. I say, that's amazing. I'd like to choose the template that I want to use, but I would prefer that you build it for me. Will you do that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're ultimately still a design agency.
Okay.
One of the things we offer is design work as well. So we can naturally do that. Where are we going? Examples, reviews, advertising, design. So yeah, we've got other examples of our work, so you can have a little browse. But we're still a design agency. So if you want it done for you, we can do it equally. If you've got an in-house team and you go, I'm already paying for this in-house team. Like, it makes no sense to get an agency to come and do all my stuff for me. That's a new thing we're sort of working on. And, just simply email me, hello@gbmedia.io, and we can just look at doing some consulting and teach your team how to build a system or build it for them.
Okay, so there's options. You can spend $10 a month and get access to GB Media. What's the domain on that? Is it gbmedia.io?
So the kit is amzdesignkit.com. Very simple. Yep. And the website for the agency is gbmedia.io.
Okay, cool. So amzkit.com. Wait.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the kit is Amazon Design Kit, amzdesignkit.com. Whereas the agency, obviously we're an agency, but the kit is just a side thing.
Cool. So here's what I would suggest. If you're considering hiring someone to build out your listings, I think if you go and get the kit first, which costs you $10 a month, roughly, then that will fast track you a really long ways and bypass a whole bunch of back and forth with a design team. And let's just say you haven't decided on a design team or designer or whatever. You can come here, you can get a really good idea of what you like. Then you can go to George and say, George, these are the templates that I like, build it. And then he will. Yeah. Or
not even
teach me how to build
examples. Yeah, like the examples is a good point. You can save and create your whole bookmarks folder of infographics that you like for your project. And you can go build me this with my designs. And that's kind of the benefit. There's
All
a
right,
few other
sweet.
features, but I don't need to go into them today.
Cool. Well, I think I need to get myself this. I don't build listings at all, but because I haven't launched products in a long time, but I'm going to be doing the knives on Amazon again, and I will need to have this in place. So I think I'm going to get myself that kit.
Good, man. That's appreciated, Dana. That is $10 that I'll be very grateful for.
I can't afford that right now, but what I'm saying is I will.
Mates rates, I see.
We
need some mates rates.
All right, cool. So hello@gbmedia.io if you want to get to, does that go directly to you, George?
That's me, yeah. I only have one email. Well, two, but yeah.
Cool. All right, hello@gbmedia.io if you'd like to ask George anything, get access to the kit, whatever. I did not ask George to provide any sort of special to anyone because it's so unbelievably cheap that it's not even worth asking him to not charge $10 a month. It's $120 a year, and you have unlimited access to all of this data. And you can utilize his team if you need it. So if you decide, if you're like me and you go, I'm going to do this myself, and you do this, you go into it, and you've spent 45 hours trying to build something out, just contact him or contact anyone, really. But George, thank you very much for being on the podcast. It was really nice to have you here. And really well done on this. I think that, for how long I've known you and been talking to you, I didn't even know 50% of what you just showed us today. And you've showed this to me before, right?
I'm a bad marketer, right?
Well, yes. I think I may need to help you with this because I truly, truly believe that everyone needs this. It's just going to, when Pinterest first came out, the demographic still is mostly 30 to 50-year-old women, right? But it's now there's a lot of men there, but originally it was like 80% 30 to 50. And what they did is they used it to design their homes, and they would go, I like this, I like that, I like this. And then they used that as a template to design their homes, right? This is precisely the same thing to design a home, only you have the design. To design your Amazon account listings, only you have the design. They can download it and start. And just, it's worth so much more than what you're paying, dude. I'm not even joking. All right, everyone. Yeah, note to George, you need to increase your rates. So there you go, everyone. Before George increases his rates, which I truly think you should be doing, George, get in there and get it for about $10 a month. All right, buddy.
Champion.
Any last words? Anything else that you need to tell anyone?
There's no more pitching from me, mate. I don't want to shove it down people's throat. I think you've done a brilliant job at that for me. So thank you. Thank you for having me on, Dana.
I only do it if I actually feel that way, because with the amount of time that I have in the space and the amount of time that I've spent, when my wife and I used to build listings, we would build it in Google Docs first, and then upload it along with the HTML and everything to Amazon. Images were anyhow. I won't go into the details, but it was very time consuming, right? And I'd wager it still is for everyone. So, okay, I'll stop putting you up on such a pedestal.
Thank you.
I'll bring you down a notch. Just kidding. All right. Thanks, everyone. And George, thank you very much. And I'll chat with you later.
See you, mate. Bye-bye.
All right. Cheers.